A lot to get through today, and we're going to get to Liverpool, of course, going down by 3-0 at Manchester City. Just on tomorrow, it's a big build-up to Eubank Jr. against Ben again, and the two dads are going to be on this very show tomorrow morning. Eubank Sr. and Nigel Benn. Maybe not at the same time, but they'll be in. They're in the building at the same time. They're in here for our 3 hours at certain stages of the 3 hours. So
and I've got Eubank straight afterwards for another hour, haven't I?
For Talk Boxing. Okay, so I mean, prepare to be entertained, because when these two are about, you cannot help but be entertained.
Nigel's brilliant.
And a certain Eddie Hearn will join us live in studio on Thursday.
The old ambulance stopper.
That's the one. So
I heard of ambulance chasers, not ambulance stoppers.
That's right, allegedly. So Eddie will be with us on Thursday. So my God, we're going to get a fill of it. But there'll be a whole bunch of controversial moments, no doubt, along the way. We're live in talkSPORT this morning, Monday, November the 10th. A lot to get through. International break. You're kidding? There's so much to talk about at this particular time. And we'll get to the international break somewhere further down the line. But yesterday, Martin, we saw it. Liverpool went to Manchester City, and there was only one winner here, and it very definitely was not Liverpool. In a game billed as a battle of the contenders, did we see a tepid wave of the white flag from the defending champions at Liverpool? City, absolutely dominant in that first half, something that Slot reflected on post-match.
It feels there's too many, and the last thing I should speak about now is the title race. We should first focus on getting result after result, before we can even think about that. And the reality is that we are 7th now, if I'm correct, 7th or 8th, something like this. One team is quite far ahead, although City is maybe 4 points, I think, away from Arsenal. The rest is quite close, and I've said last season many times, even after when we were leading in the beginning, and the best way to judge the league table is of course after 38, but the next best thing to judge it is after 19 games, because then you all faced the same opponents. And our first focus should be on getting results in, and the last thing we should focus on is on the title race.
The last thing we should be focusing on is the title race. I'm going to get to that. Last season, well, actually this season, let's concentrate on this season. They've conceded 17 goals, their joint worst total at this stage of a league season for 32 years, and they've scored 18 goals, their lowest at this stage in a decade. Liverpool's away record in 2025. Now, honestly, let this sink in. Played 22, won 8, drawn 3, lost 11. Martin Keown's alongside Simon this morning. Martin, not that I was eavesdropping when you were having a conversation with producer Luke before we came in, but you said there's a lack of appetite in this Liverpool team.
Well, it seemed like that. You know, obviously they had a very good win in midweek in the Champions League, and there's been a few false dawns. You think that they're getting back to where they were. They've put Robertson back to left back because Kirkes doesn't seem to be quite at the level. They changed the midfield. Wirtz has gone out to left wing, but it still wasn't. They didn't have the hunger to go with it. They didn't press City. I mean, by the way, Man City played extremely well, Jim, under pressure when they were under pressure. Yeah. I thought Szoboszlai apart, I thought he was quite exceptional in the game. Everybody else just very tepid in their performance. They're not really at boiling point. I don't know whether or not the managers lost them a little bit. He's very pragmatic afterwards. This is a bit of a crisis for him now. Yep. You know, there's 7 defeats this season. Performances have fallen well short of where they were last season. It was quite magnificent last season. He's got to get that back, but it doesn't look as if he's got the players completely on board. They were better in the second half, but the game was won by then.
See, you used the word crisis, Martin. When the word crisis is used, for ourselves in the media, there's always and Simon, you're on me whenever we mention the word crisis. Hang on a minute. I'm over the top. But maybe not. Roy Keane, we know they can be beaten at Manchester City, but to lose 7-10 and 5 league losses already this season, it has to be a crisis for a club like Liverpool. Simon, 5 losses in 11. Does Slot look like a man to you who knows how to fix it?
Well, this is a side that just beat Real Madrid. So you have to get some context. It's the first challenges for him. And we've seen this smooth transition, this easy passage of time from Jurgen Klopp straight into Arne Slot. Arne Slot getting hero status for winning the Premier League. And now he's having to reignite a team that's had component parts taken out of it through a series of choices and tragedies that have created this scenario.
And so we will see what he's made of. Do I think they'll be fine? Yeah. Do I think they'll win the league? Probably not now. But do I think they'll be in Europe next year? Do I think they'll be a top 4 side? Yes, I do. I think ultimately Man City have now slipped back into gear. Man City are still a get-atable side, but they are, in that particular game yesterday, levels above Liverpool at this moment in time in the season. It was interesting listening to Pep Guardiola, and I'm going off tangent, talking about what the challenge looks like and how the season looks like unfolding, and how he made a really pointed observation about it's not about doing well now. It's about doing well when it really counts towards the back end of the season and building a team, and you start being in a zone, towards the back end of the season and being consistent. And I think there might have been a little bit of a broadside at Arsenal and people's observation that Arsenal are going to win the league. Look, Liverpool have got to get themselves together a little bit. The fact is that there's arguments. I saw the notes that Wenger's talking about how one particular player was signed in a particular position in terms of Wirtz, and he shouldn't have been allowed to be signed in that position because it's disrupted the Liverpool midfield. There might be something in that, but that's for Slot to manage. And people telling people constantly he doesn't know what his best team is. Well, that's what you're paid the big bucks for. That's why you went and spent 500 million quid, because surely you bought players that you could plug and play with.
But I think that's where the crux of the matter lies, is the foundation of their midfield. So last year it was very stable. And he came up with statistics at the beginning of the season saying, look, I've made this change. I wanted to play with a 10 because we weren't creating quite enough the back end of last season. I actually felt there wasn't an awful lot wrong with what they were doing. He's kind of obsessed with finding solutions. I understand that. The club can't stand still. But they're nowhere near really where they were last year. And you look at the players. I mean, look, it's interesting because both teams, you could say, are evolving. This is pretty well Pep's third generation of players now. So there were four changes.
But on Liverpool, the money spent though, Martin, the money spent, 400 million plus. Come November, we can't really talk about the title race, says Slot. Honestly?
Well, what he means by that is he's got to talk about winning tackles, winning headers, winning the next game. That he's not really thinking.
How's it got to that?
Because they've lost so many games, so they're not quite in the title race right now. He's got to get everybody back.
You won the league title. You won the Premier League title. How does the hunger go?
No, Jim. When you're winning games, it's very brittle. Winning games, you don't know you're going to win games, but there's a mood in the building, and they've lost that. They've lost that. They're not at boiling point right now, and I think he's created that in looking for something better. I mean, obviously they've lost.
History's repeating itself to some extent. The last time they won the title, they defended it quite poorly, in the season after they won it, and they're doing it again this year. You would have felt. I mean, everyone makes the point that nobody changes a championship winning side to the extent that he changed it. Some of it was forced upon him, and some of it was circumstance, which is a natural transition in a football club that people leave and people stay. He has gotten himself into a position where he's heralded, quite rightly so, for winning the Premier League. But there's two teams now that are really alive. There's one that thinks it should have won a Premier League over the last couple of years, which is Arsenal, and have been teased and mercilessly mocked by people like me about the fact they choked on previous times and the fact they should be there now. They're there now. They're there to win this tournament. They were there to win this Premier League. And Man City have regained their poise. And so they should, because they've got such a wonderful base, such a wonderful manager. Man City should be in the conversation all the time. And Liverpool have got real challenges around them now. Whereas last year, with all due respect to Slot, and I don't care what Liverpool fans think, they sauntered to that league.
Yeah.
Not because it's their fault.
But I don't think a lot of these changes needed to be made. I believe that this central defensive partnership, Konate and Van Dijk, needs better protection. And on doing that protection, he's created this issue for himself. Now, Wirtz is playing out on the left wing. It doesn't really... Gakpo should be playing on the left wing. And then they've got a better front three, as far as I'm concerned. Ekitike's new. Bradley's new. The goalkeeper's new. It's only 4 players, but it's made a massive change to the way they...
So, Martin, is this a title race shifting now down to 2? Manchester City and Arsenal.
No, you've got to look at Chelsea starting to pick up a little bit. Jim, Chelsea looking like they're starting to become a little bit formidable. Man City going through the gears, Jim. So look, Arsenal just need to keep winning their games. They've not done an awful lot wrong, Jim. They're pretty well top of the top of the Premier League, top of the Champions League table as well, pretty on points. So it's going along nicely.
Are you fearful from Arsenal's point of view
at all.
that you've got a chaser who is in the form of Manchester City?
Arsenal have played 6 away games, Jim. In that period. You look at the games, Man City have only played 5. Up for them next is Newcastle. Okay, Arsenal at home against Spurs. This has been Man United away, now a very difficult game. Liverpool, Newcastle. These are all the games that Arsenal have played.
Yeah, but
Sunderland as well. Let's not...
From an Arsenal viewpoint, twice you've led it, and twice you were reeled in by Manchester City.
This is different this year.
How's it different?
They didn't come back at Newcastle last year. They did. They got a very important goal against Man City as well. At the
Is
start
it not in your head?
Not
Anybody
at all.
but City chasing us?
Not at all. Because
Anybody but City?
No, I don't think you look over your shoulder. You look ahead and you go and grasp it and you take the opportunities that are there. What you need is a full selection of players to pick from, and they've not quite got that at the moment. It was an issue for Gyökeres not being available. I hope this doesn't become a story of the number 9, because obviously Haaland is different class. Arsenal need theirs back on the pitch quickly.
So when you're going for the title, you don't look over your shoulder?
No, you can't. In any race, you don't look over your shoulder, Jim. You look ahead.
You never did that way back in '99.
We got caught. Back in '99. We were chasing, and '98 we were chasing. I think 2001, 2002, 3 when we lost it. Yeah, they came up.
Is it not the case from an Arsenal viewpoint? Anyone but City to be making a charge on
not at all, because we don't really know if this is the real deal with this City team, do we? I mean, what we've had is a changing of the guard, Man City. You know, De Bruyne has been allowed to go, Ederson's been allowed to go to Walker, and Foden's been given his head now, and they're starting to flourish. But Doku's only scored 1 goal in the Premier League this season. He's going to have to score a whole lot more if they're going to be champions.
We're approaching 10:30. Let's get a whole bunch of fans on. Why not? Give us a call this morning. In a game billed as a battle of the contenders, did we see something of a wave of the white flag from the defending champions Liverpool yesterday? Liverpool fans, any of you out there prepared to tell us this morning, nah, it's over. We're only in November, but it's over. 03717 223344. Is this a title race shifting down to 2? And those 2 are Manchester City and Arsenal. 03717 223344 81089.